I let my husband hold a child that was never his, whisper lullabies in her ear, teach her how to ride a bike, and call her his princess. He smiled when she called him daddy. And all the while, I smiled too, knowing he was living a lie I created. I watched the man who would have given me his last breath raise the child of another man I had no business loving. I made a choice in lust. Then I sealed it in a wedding dress, signed it in hospital forms, and lived it for 7 years. So, to every viewer watching right now, whether you are here for the first time or returning for more, I want to say thank you. Thank you for riding these emotional waves with me. To my amazing subscribers, I see you. Your support is what fuels this channel. And to the new viewers, go ahead, tap that subscribe button. It is the energy that powers these stories and keeps this community thriving. Remember to share your thoughts in the comments below. You are part of this journey too. Now, let me tell you how it all began. My name is Heather Sinclair. I grew up in suburban Texas, raised in a God-fearing, moderately strict household. I was the girl who always did things right. I graduated with honors, never missed Sunday service, and married the man who checked every box on my husband material list. That man was Caleb Sinclair. 6'2", clean-cut, loyal, gentle, the kind of man who sends flowers even when you are not mad. He worked as a high school biology teacher, loved by students and respected by parents. When I met Caleb, he was the safest place I had ever known. But sometimes, safe does not feel like enough. Then there was Zane Harper. A corporate sales executive with a smirk like sin and eyes that saw through every rule I had ever followed. I met Zane when I was 27, just a month after Caleb and I had gotten engaged. I had gone with my cousin to a regional marketing seminar in Dallas. Zane was one of the keynote speakers. Charming, assertive, magnetic. He walked past me in the hallway, brushed my shoulder gently and said, "You smell like trouble." I laughed. I should have walked away. I should have told Caleb everything that night. But I did not. The second time I saw Zane was not by chance. He found my LinkedIn and messaged me. "I hope you do not mind me reaching out. I could not stop thinking about you after that event." I told myself it was innocent. It was just messaging. Just coffee. Just a drink. Just a kiss. It was never just. The first time I slept with Zane, it was in the back seat of his car, parked behind a hotel he had rented for a business conference. I told Caleb I was visiting my aunt in Austin. I did not cry. I did not hesitate. I was swept into a world of excitement, intensity, and risk. Zane was the opposite of Caleb in every way. Dangerous. Experienced. Shameless. And I was addicted. 3 weeks later, I saw 2 pink lines. I was standing in the staff bathroom of my PR firm's office, staring at a pregnancy test that would decide everything. My hands shook. My stomach churned. I knew it was Zane's. I had not been intimate with Caleb in almost a month. We were busy planning the wedding. He was staying at his brother's house until the ceremony. And I had been seeing Zane every Thursday like it was a secret holiday. Zane's reaction was cold. He said, "You know this cannot be mine. Get rid of it. I am not father material." And just like that, I saw the truth behind the man I had romanticized. That same week, Caleb proposed moving the wedding date up. He said he wanted to make me his wife before the school year ended. I said yes. I told myself maybe the timing was divine. Maybe Caleb was meant to be this child's father. Maybe God was giving me a second chance. So, I told him I was pregnant. Tears filled his eyes. He lifted me off the floor and spun me around like we had just won the lottery. He called his mother that same night. He bought baby books, signed us up for parenting classes, and painted the nursery pale pink when the doctor confirmed it was a girl. We got married at a beautiful vineyard just outside Houston. My dress barely zipped. My heart barely rested. Every time Caleb kissed me, I wondered if he would ever forgive me if he knew the truth. But I convinced myself the lie was for his own good. He was ready to love. Zane was not. The baby deserved stability, and Caleb was the best man to give it. I remember my wedding night vividly. Caleb was slow and tender. He touched my swollen belly and whispered, "I already love her more than life." That night, I buried my guilt under white sheets and candlelight. Our daughter, Ava Grace, was born on a rainy March morning. Caleb never left my side through the entire 11 hours of labor. He cut the cord, cried harder than I did, and cradled her like she was spun from heaven. And she looked just enough like me to quiet the doubts. People said she had my eyes and my smile. No one mentioned that she had dimples like Zane's or that her hair was darker than Caleb's ever was. We sent out birth announcements. We posted photos online. Ava had her father's last name and his heart. But not his DNA. Years passed, and the lie grew legs. Ava turned 2, then 4. Caleb taught her how to say grace before meals. He walked her to pre-K and brought her flowers for her first recital. He called her Daddy's girl and meant it with every fiber of his being. And I, his wife, stood there with a smile that hid 1,000 sins. I loved him. I truly did. But every time he kissed my daughter goodnight, the shame carved deeper into me. Every time he said, "You look so much like me when you pout," I wanted to scream the truth. But how could I? I had everything I once dreamed of: marriage, a family, a home. I was the envy of our neighborhood, the friend who had it all together. And all of it was built on betrayal. They say secrets are like termites. Silent. Invisible. But relentless. They nibble at the foundations until one day, without warning, the whole house caves in. I did not see it happening at first. I was too busy playing the role of perfect wife. Perfect mother. Perfect liar. But underneath our carefully curated suburban life, the truth was stirring. And once it started, it would not stop. Ava was 5 when the guilt started to feel like a second heartbeat. Always there. Always pulsing beneath my skin. Every time Caleb kissed her forehead goodnight, I would watch his lips press against her dark curls, and feel like he was kissing a stranger's child. Every time he called her sweet pea, I would flinch. Not outwardly. No one could see it. But inside, I was a woman unraveling. He would come home from work, exhausted but smiling, arms wide open, saying, "Where's my girl?" And Ava would run, squealing into his arms. I watched them from the kitchen doorway like a ghost haunting her own life. The truth never slept. It followed me into the shower. Into the mirror. Into church pews and PTA meetings. It watched me clap for Ava at her kindergarten play and mocked me when I knelt at the altar and asked God to forgive me, without the courage to confess. I had not heard from Zane in over 5 years. Not since the day I told him I was keeping the baby and marrying someone else. He had made it clear, he wanted no part of it. And that was the end of us. Until one warm September afternoon. I was leaving the grocery store when I saw him. Leaning against a sleek black BMW, dressed in charcoal slacks and a white button-down, sunglasses hanging off his collar. Same smirk. Same storm behind the eyes. "Heather," he said. I dropped my keys. My stomach flipped like a car wreck. I looked around instinctively, praying no one from the neighborhood was nearby. "What are you doing here?" I asked, keeping my voice low. "Business trip. Just happened to check my old contact list. Saw your address. I figured I would see how life turned out for you. You should leave." I just wanted to see her. My blood froze. "See who?" "You know who," he said. "I saw a picture. On your sister's Facebook. That girl is mine." I swallowed hard. My heart slammed against my chest so violently I thought I might faint right there beside the shopping cart return. "You gave that girl my dimples. My chin. You think I would not notice? You have no right, I said. You said you did not want anything to do with her. That was 5 years ago. Things change. He took a step closer. I want to meet her. I shook my head. She has a father. A real one. Zane's voice dropped into something colder than winter. He deserves to know. I could barely breathe for the next week. Every knock on the door made me flinch. Every unknown number on my phone sent panic shooting up my spine. I started sleeping with one eye open, terrified that Zane would show up at Ava's school, or worse, drop the truth in Caleb's lap like a bomb. I had no plan. No backup. Just a marriage hanging on a secret I could no longer control. Caleb noticed the change. One night, after Ava had gone to bed, he touched my shoulder gently and said, "You have been distant. Is everything okay?" I nodded too quickly. Smiled too wide. I am just tired, that is all. But he knew me. He always had. And that was the thing about Caleb. He loved me so deeply, so purely, that my betrayal felt even more cruel. I was not cheating anymore. But I was still lying. It was a Saturday afternoon when it happened. Caleb and I were organizing Ava's art supplies in the garage when he held up a drawing she had made. It was a stick figure family. A mom. A dad. A little girl. But the dad had jet black hair. A sharp jawline. Nothing like Caleb's soft brown curls and rounded face. "She says that is her dad," Caleb said, forcing a laugh. "But I have never looked like that." I froze. "She probably got it from a cartoon," I said quickly. "Maybe." But he was quiet for the rest of the day. Sometimes, the universe has a sick sense of humor. One evening, as we were watching television, an ad came on for a home DNA testing kit. "Find out where you really come from," the voiceover said. "Discover your genetic story." Ava was sitting between us, coloring. Caleb watched the screen a little too long. Later that night, he said, "Would not it be fun to see where Ava's roots come from? You know, family tree stuff." My blood turned to ice. "I suppose," I said, forcing a smile. "But does it really matter?" He shrugged. "Just curious. You said your grandmother was Irish, right?" "Yes." "Why?" He looked at me. Really looked at me. No reason. But I knew. I knew doubt had entered his heart. And it was my fault. A few weeks later, Zane messaged me again. This time, it was not flirtation. It was not subtle. "If you do not let me see her, I will tell him everything." I stared at the screen, hands trembling. I typed and deleted my response 3 times before settling on. "Do not destroy a man's life just because you are bored." He replied instantly. "You already destroyed it. I just want what is mine." I could not sleep that night. I lay in bed beside Caleb, watching the rise and fall of his chest. He looked so peaceful. So undeserving of what I had done to him. And for the first time, I considered telling the truth. It was a Sunday morning. Caleb was outside, washing the car with Ava. She was laughing, splashing him with soap bubbles. He smiled at her like she was his whole universe. And in that moment, I realized I could never tell him. Because to tell him would be to erase every moment they had ever shared. To shatter a bond that was real, even if it was built on a lie. But fate had other plans. I found it in the mail. A small white box with the company logo. Still sealed. Caleb had ordered it. My heart sank to my knees. I hid it. Buried it under laundry in the hallway closet. But it was too late. The doubt had taken root. The termites were gnawing. Caleb began to watch Ava more closely. Ask more questions. One night, he studied her as she slept and whispered, "She is so beautiful. But sometimes I wonder where she got that face." I wanted to scream. To run. To fall at his feet and beg forgiveness. But I did nothing. Because the truth was coming for me. There is a moment, just before your life explodes, when everything goes still. No wind. No movement. Just silence. The kind of silence that screams. I felt it the morning Caleb placed the open DNA kit box on the kitchen counter. He did not say a word. He did not have to. His eyes were red-rimmed. His lips were pressed into a line so tight, I could almost hear the scream he was holding back. The lie was over. The man I loved was staring at the ashes of his entire world. And I was the one who lit the match. It was a rainy Thursday. Ava was at school. Caleb had stayed home from work. He said he felt off. I had no idea he had sent in the DNA sample 2 weeks earlier. He had swabbed her cheek while she was asleep, just once, and mailed it. Now the results were in. He stood there, shoulders slumped, holding a single sheet of paper that burned hotter than fire. "She is not mine," he said. Calmly. Flatly. I opened my mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. "She is yours in every way that matters," I whispered, choking on my own cowardice. He laughed. It was not a kind laugh. It was broken. Hollow. "You lied to me for 7 years. I stepped forward. He stepped back. "You let me name her. You let me dream about our future. You let me be her father when the whole time," his voice cracked. "The whole time you knew." Tears blurred my eyes. I reached for him, but he pulled away like my touch burned. I was scared, Caleb. I did not know what to do. Zane wanted nothing to do with her. "Zane," he said, blinking hard. "That piece of garbage from Dallas? You slept with him?" I nodded. He backed against the wall like he needed it to keep from collapsing. "I raised another man's child. And you just watched." For the first time in our marriage, Caleb did not sleep at home that night. He packed a bag, told Ava he had a work emergency, and left without another word. I stayed in our bedroom, curled in a ball, listening to the silence stretch into dawn. My mind raced with memories, his first Father's Day, the night we stayed up all night when Ava had the flu, the way he used to tuck her hair behind her ears before bedtime. All of it, real. All of it, built on betrayal. When Ava asked why Daddy had not come back the next day, I told her he had gone to visit her grandparents. It was a lie. Another one. Caleb returned 3 days later. Not with forgiveness. Not with rage. Just resolve. He sat across from me at the dining table, and the space between us felt like miles. "I am not going to fight you," he said. "I am not going to yell. But I want the truth." So I told him everything. The conference. The affair. The pregnancy. The choice. Zane. Every moment I had buried deep down came to the surface like rot rising from water. He listened. And when I finished, he looked at me and said, "You destroyed everything we built. But she is still my daughter." Those words nearly shattered me. "You still want to be in her life?" I asked, barely able to breathe. I raised her. I kissed her bruises. I stayed up with her when she had nightmares. She is mine whether you like it or not. I nodded, crying openly. "I am going to need space," he said. "But do not think for a second I am going to let you take her from me." Telling Ava the truth was harder than telling Caleb. She was only 7. A bright, curious, deeply emotional girl. We sat her down one quiet evening. Caleb did most of the talking. He told her he would always love her. Always be her dad. But that families were complicated sometimes. When she asked if she had another dad, I nodded. She cried. Not because she understood everything, but because she knew something was broken. And it broke her. For weeks, she asked why we were not all sleeping in the same house anymore. Why Daddy only came on weekends. Why he sometimes looked sad when he thought she was not watching. I had no answers that would make sense to her. When Zane heard the truth had come out, he showed up at Ava's school. Said he just wanted to meet her. The school called me. I raced there in a panic, only to find Zane outside, sitting on a bench, looking smug. You ruined everything, I hissed. He shrugged. I just wanted to know my daughter. You had your chance. You threw her away before she was even born. He looked me dead in the eyes. Then give me one now. I will take you to court if I have to. That was the moment I realized Zane was not driven by love. He was driven by power. By control. By ego. He did not love Ava. He wanted to own her. So I fought. I hired a lawyer. I told the court everything. I gave them the emails, the threats, the history. Zane backed down quietly. His reputation mattered more than fatherhood. He disappeared as quickly as he had reappeared. Caleb and I tried. We went to therapy. We talked through the grief. The betrayal. The lies. But some damage cannot be undone. We signed divorce papers in the spring. He got shared custody of Ava. We decided not to tell her the full truth until she was older. For now, she knew that Daddy still loved her, that Mommy made mistakes, and that sometimes love looks different than what we expected. The house felt cold after he left. The nursery-turned bedroom echoed with memories. I would stand in the doorway sometimes, watching Ava sleep, and wonder how I ever allowed myself to ruin what I had. It has been 2 years. Ava is 9 now. Bright. Funny. Resilient. She still calls Caleb Daddy. He never missed a birthday. Never missed a school play. He is the best man I have ever known, even though I broke him. I have not dated since the divorce. I cannot bring myself to let someone new into the space where so much hurt lives. Sometimes, I think about the woman I used to be. The one who made a single choice that changed the course of 3 lives forever. She was selfish. She was scared. And she left behind a mess I may never fully clean up. But I am trying. Every day, I wake up and try to be a better mother. A more honest woman. A person who owns her mistakes. To those watching, maybe you are judging me. Maybe you are feeling sympathy. Maybe you see pieces of your own life in mine. Whatever you feel, I want you to know this. Lies never stay buried. And the truth always finds its way to the surface, whether you are ready or not. So if you are hiding something, ask yourself. Is the comfort of now worth the devastation of later? Because I learned that answer far too late.